Hello and welcome to my channel, Knotty Gnome Crafts. My name is Sarah and you can find me as Knotty Gnome on Instagram. Today I have an exciting video for you. I did a collaboration with two lovely ladies, Teresa from Lost My Thread and Emma of So Do It Emma, and the three of us all made the Deer and Doe Sirocco Jumpsuit. If that interests you, please keep watching. I was so excited to do this collaboration with Teresa and Emma because I admire the two of them so much, and it was really fun that we all decided to make the same pattern because we have really different style and different body types, and I think this is going to be a really useful review. I just think that Emma has great style. She always picks the loveliest patterns and fabric choices, and I just love her wardrobe. I think that it's really amazing and so thoughtfully curated. And as for Teresa, I aspire to be like her when I grow up. I think that she has wonderful attention to detail, and I just really love watching her reviews because they're so thoughtful and so in-depth. And I also really admire that she doesn't just consider things to be finished when they're done. She will go back and fix things or alter them to make them suit her better. And I wish that I did more of that. So I just really admire these two ladies. And once you finish with my review, I'm going to put their videos up on the end screen so you can go check out their reviews as well. Now let's talk about the Deer and Doe Sirocco Jumpsuit. This pattern comes in sizes 34 to 60, so it has a wonderful size range, and I will put the sizing charts up on the screen so you can pause and look for yourself. Now, why did I want to make this particular pattern? I bought this pattern when they had their Black Friday sale last year. I've seen so many versions of this on Instagram and they all look really nice. I like that it's a knit jumpsuit, so it should be fairly comfortable, but it looks very polished and chic, and for me, I wanted to make a version that was work appropriate. I have a work event that is coming up very soon, and I wanted to be able to wear this jumpsuit to that professional event. I do think that the pattern is really versatile and can have different looks depending on your fabric choice. But for my fabric, because I wanted this to be professional, I chose the refined Ponte knit from Joann Fabrics, and I bought 3.5 yards, although I think I only ended up using about 2. And this particular Ponte fabric is, I believe it's a rayon poly lycra blend, and it has about 50% stretch, which is going to be important later. I used this fabric before several years ago to make a pair of pants, and those pants have held up really well. They haven't pilled, so I felt confident in using this fabric for my jumpsuit. However, the fabric that I bought this time around does seem a little bit thicker than I remembered it being. It almost feels like a scuba fabric, and the thickness of the fabric also gave me some issues, which I will also bring up in a few minutes. Now let's talk about the Deer and Doe block. I know that Deer and Doe drafts for a curvy figure. I believe that they draft for an hourglass shape, which if you have eyes, you may have noticed that I do not have that kind of shape. I'm very rectangular. So I knew going in that I was going to need to make alterations. For sizing, I decided to choose the size 36 in the bodice and then grade up to a size 38 at the waist, and then I just continued that down to the ankle. I made a lot of adjustments to this pattern, so many in fact that I was a little bit nervous that it wasn't going to work out because I just made so many changes, and unfortunately due to time constraints I didn't have the time to sew up a muslin first, so I kind of just made all my alterations and crossed my fingers that it was going to work out. So because I made so many adjustments, I'm not going to tell you the minute details of every single one, but just to read off the list of the things that I did. I made a small bust adjustment. I shortened both the front and the back rise because I had read on Sewing Pattern Review that a lot of people found that the rise was really long, and I ended up shortening it more in the back than I did in the front. I removed some excess ease from the side seams at the hip so that it wouldn't be too baggy, and I had to shorten the legs quite a lot. I'm 4'9", so I'm used to having to shorten things, but I think maybe the pattern cover shows the jumpsuit with the legs cuffed, and maybe that's why they're extra long, but I had to remove a lot of length. I think I took 8 inches out of the legs. I also made one design change that was an adjustment, and I chose to lengthen the sleeves by about 2.5 inches. So the original pattern has a short sleeve, but just for my body type, I find that I either look better in cap sleeves or elbow length sleeves, but the short sleeve isn't necessarily the best look for me. So I went ahead and lengthened the sleeves, and I do like that I made that change because in my mind, because this is for a professional event, I feel like it looks a little bit more elegant, more polished with that longer sleeve length. So I'm really glad that I made that change. Now I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here about fit. I know that all the things that I just said sounds like a lot of adjustments, and it is, but it really does make such a huge difference. I watch so many videos and read so many posts on Instagram about people who are afraid to make fit adjustments, and they just kind of make things how they are out of the packet and hope for the best. My personal opinion is that we have all become so warped by ready-to-wear that what we think is a good fit isn't necessarily actually a good fit, or what we decide is good enough isn't really a good fit. But for me, putting in that extra work really is worth it in the end, because when you have a piece of clothing that truly fits you the way that it's supposed to, you just feel so much better, so much more confident. You feel like you look beautiful. And sometimes just tiny little changes can make a huge difference. So I'm not saying that if you're not used to doing any fit adjustments at all, that you have to do all of the things that I just did in my pattern, but maybe just start with one thing. Like, I hear a lot of people talking about how things don't fit them right in the chest if they're larger or smaller. Maybe just start with a bust adjustment and learn how to do a small bust adjustment or a full bust adjustment, and just do that one change on your pattern and see what a difference it makes. And then as you learn and you get more comfortable with making adjustments, then you can start adding in more and more so that your garments really suit you in the end. They really flatter your body shape and you feel like $1,000,000. A lot of people ask me where I learn how to do small bust adjustments or full bust adjustments. They're really the same thing. It's just that on the small bust, you take fabric away, and on the full bust, you add fabric. So what I do actually most of the time is that I would just Google what I'm looking for. So like for this pattern, for example, it has a pleat, and then that's what makes the bust shaping. So I simply Googled small bust adjustment pleat, and I came up with this tutorial. If I can find it again, I'll link it down in the description box. It's actually for a Tilly and the Buttons dress pattern that has multiple pleats. But once you understand the principles of it, you can apply them to your own pattern. It doesn't have to be an exact match. But by looking at that tutorial, I got a good understanding of how to make the adjustment when you have a pleat in a bodice. And yeah, that's what I do most of the time. Like, SBA dart, SBA no dart, SBA gathers, like whatever type of garment that you're wanting to change up. If it's princess seams, just like Google small bust adjustment or full bust adjustment, and then whatever type of bodice that it is, and I guarantee that you're going to come up with a tutorial that will help you making your adjustments. So my tangent is almost over, but I just wanted to say, if you are enjoying this video so far, I would really love it if you would give me a thumbs up, because it helps more people find my channel. Thank you so much for helping my channel grow. I really appreciate it. So now let's talk about the fit of this particular jumpsuit and how it turned out. So for the most part, I think that it actually looks pretty amazing, but there is a caveat: the waist is too tight. So I knew looking at the finished garments that the waist has negative ease. And I was a little bit nervous about that because on my body, my waist is actually the largest part in terms of sizing. So I was concerned that it was going to be too tight. So I did size up one size when I created this jumpsuit. However, it's still too tight. And so I really should have sized up 2 sizes in the waist, and I have already adjusted the pattern for next time so that it'll be accurate. Additionally, and this is only sort of related to fit, it's really more about the fabric. Because my fabric only had 50% stretch and the pattern actually requires 60% stretch, my jumpsuit is really hard to get on and off. Like, I can do it, but it's a bit of a struggle to like pull it over my shoulders. It's actually not too bad getting it up over my hips as far as that waist being too tight. It stretches enough to be able to do that. But I'm just thinking of like when I need to use the restroom, it is a challenge to get that thing off my shoulders in order to do that. So next time around, I will definitely pay closer attention to the fabric requirements or the stretch requirements and go ahead and choose a fabric that has that 60% stretch. The other thing that I could have done if I had it to do all over again and I wanted to use that Ponte is that I could have sized up another size, like keep all my same adjustments but just make a size bigger. And I think that probably would have helped as far as being able to get it on and off. But I really think ultimately the better solution is just to use a thinner fabric that has the required stretch. Now let's go over construction. This jumpsuit is incredibly easy to put together. Like, I was honestly surprised at how quick and easy it is. The instructions are really clear, they're illustrated, I didn't have any issues following them. I mostly used my serger to construct the garment, and there's just a few places where you have to do use stitching on your sewing machine. And because I was using a ponte, I did not use a stretch stitch. I just used a long straight stitch, and that seemed to work perfectly fine. I haven't popped any seams, and I even did my hems with a straight stitch, and it seems to work out just fine. But once again, I did have a problem because of my fabric. Like I said in the beginning, the fabric was a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be. When you're putting the side seams together, there is a lot of bulk. You've got pleats on the bodice, you have pleats on the pants, you have pockets, and just all of those thick layers. My serger had the hardest time trying to sew up those side seams, and as a matter of fact, I almost broke my serger. I couldn't get the side seam to sew all in one pass. I actually had to kind of start at the top, go halfway down, stop, go, and then start again from the bottom at the leg and sew all the way up. And I still struggled with that. I have a photo that I can insert of my serger basically at some point where it was so thick, it just kind of started chewing up the fabric, and it was really a nightmare, and I was terrified that I was about to break my serger. So I think on at least one of the sides, I had to just stop and then sew the rest of it on my sewing machine. So in retrospect, this fabric was not a good fabric to use for this pattern. I really should have used something thinner. And if I did want to use a ponte again, I would just omit the pockets because that would take out quite a bit of bulk. But really, I love that design feature of the pockets. They're nice and deep, and I like having them. So again, I just think that the better choice is to use a thinner fabric. So my work event has not happened yet, and so I cannot tell you whether I enjoyed wearing it or not. But I will report back in my May Makes video and let you know how it went. I suspect that the tightness in the waist and not being able to get it on and off very easily, I think that I'm gonna struggle with that. So I am very seriously thinking about if I wear it for a whole day and I don't like it, I may end up ordering some cotton spandex jersey in black and just remaking the whole thing in a thinner fabric, because I absolutely love how this jumpsuit looks and I love the design of it. I feel like it could truly be a staple piece in my wardrobe because it is like so simple but so elegant. I love the plain black. I really want to wear this jumpsuit, but I just feel like this version might not be the most comfortable. If that turns out to be the case, there is just a really good chance that I'm going to end up remaking it because I love it so much. I've gone ahead and styled it for you two ways, in a more formal dressy way like I will for work, and also a more casual laid back way. The first way is for the work look, and I've just paired it with my pointy toe ankle boots and some minimal jewelry. And I think that this is going to be perfect for my work event, and I think it looks so polished and nice, and I'm really looking forward to wearing it. The second more laid back look, I've put on my new Converse sneakers. I just think it looks so cool and it dresses down the jumpsuit and makes it more casual, and I threw on my Hampton jean jacket over top. I would definitely feel very comfortable going out to lunch with friends or going out to run errands. I do think that this is going to be a wonderful addition to my wardrobe, and I'm so glad that I made it. So I have not seen Teresa and Emma's versions, but I'm very excited to get a look at what they've done because I'm pretty sure that theirs are going to be very different from mine. Make sure that you go check out their videos and tell them that I said hello if you're coming from my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.